Earlier in the day, Donald Trump ordered U.S. Navy to shoot and kill boats laying mines in the Hormuz. He claimed that 159 Iranian naval ships have been destroyed and that U.S. minesweepers are clearing the strait. In another post, Trump claimed that America has total control over the strait and vowed to continue the blockade until Iran agrees to a deal. The Pentagon, meanwhile, has denied a recent report which claimed that it will take 6 months to clear the mines in the Strait of Hormuz. As per this report, Pentagon had given this estimate to members of the U.S. House Armed Services Committee. So far, America has claimed to have forces in 31 Iranian vessels and to reverse the course as part of the ongoing naval blockade. But despite this threat, Iranian boats continue their attempt to break the siege. Iran, on the other hand, claims to have received its first revenue as part of its toll regime in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Deputy Parliament Speaker Hamid Reza Hajibabai said that the amount had been deposited into Central Bank of Iran's account. Both sides are now claiming to have successfully implemented their respective blockades. Donald Trump, remember, has refused to put the deadline on this war. Meanwhile, the fragile truce is holding up for now with no side ready to concede. All right, let's get you the breaking news coming in at this moment as tensions between America and Iran in the Indian Ocean increase and the Strait of Hormuz is closed at the moment. Remember, India has now issued a new travel advisory for its citizens. The Embassy of India has released a new circular strongly advising Indian citizens not to travel to Iran, whether by air or by land. The advisory also states that airspace restrictions and operational uncertainties due to the regional tensions continue to impact international flights that are operating to and from Iran. This is yet another advisory that the Indian Embassy has issued amid this deepening war. The advisory also further states that Indians currently residing in Iran should leave the country through designated border routes and in coordination with the Indian Embassy. Extremely crucial. Let me quickly go across to our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal, joining us with more details on this. Siddhant, yet again, amid the ceasefire, India has urged its citizens not to travel to and from Iran and make use of this ceasefire break that is happening, and whoever is there should travel back from the designated spots. Siddhant, are you able to hear me? All right, we'll try and reconnect with my colleague Siddhant Sibbal. But remember, this is the big breaking news that's coming in at the moment. The Indian Embassy has once again advised all nationals in Iran to leave the country. They've also said that whoever wants to travel out of Iran should do so from the designated spots. That's the latest advisory that is coming in from the Embassy of India amid the deepening war and the ceasefire extension.
The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said that the failure of Israel's killings is reflected in how Iran's state institutions continue to act with unity, purpose and discipline. The battlefield and diplomacy are fully coordinated fronts in the same war. The Iranians are all united more than ever before. The spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ismail Baghei, said that the President of the United States has reposted a statement from an individual openly calling for the killing of the ones who don't want a deal. The United States, which once presented itself as a cradle of democracy, freedom and human values, now appears to have become a promoter of terrorism, murder and mass violence. What should one call this if not a profound moral failure, unquote. This, of course, is the statement that's been put out firstly by Syed Abbas Araghchi, who said that Iran is united more than ever before. And this is what Ismail Baghei has questioned about the American tactics, where he had stated about, reposted a statement from an individual openly calling for the killing of the ones who don't want a deal. Molly, if you can weigh in on this, because Donald Trump, in his statement on Truth Social, had said that the reason why he wants to extend this ceasefire is because he believes that the Iranian establishment is not speaking in one voice, and therefore he wanted the Iranian establishment to in fact put their heads together and to come up with a unified proposal. And this statement by Abbas Araghchi, where he says that Iran is more unified than ever before, both in war and in diplomacy, what are we to read into this?
Indeed, Sally, look at the way the messaging really has been going out, especially even before what's unfolded in Tehran now. The two sides have been trying to put out their posturing as far as the talks or the negotiations are concerned throughout. But now, just a short while back, with Araghchi putting out the statement, basically the messaging he's trying to convey essentially is that Iranians stand united and that the country stands united as of now, which is also very important to highlight here, given that way back, remember, when the on-the-ground protests were taking place in Iran as well, there were attempts, the narrative on part of the U.S. at one point there was also urging the people on the ground to rise up. That did not quite unfold. But cut to what's happening now at the same time, like you just said, the unified proposal remark. And now with Araghchi issuing that statement just a short while back, simultaneously, when we've been, of course, telling our viewers also about those explosions that have taken place in parts of Tehran just a short while back. So all of this coming together, the Iran messaging at this point is very crucial. Like we just read out that statement coming in from Abbas Araghchi, categorically stating that, look, Iran stands united. That's the message, the signal that Iran is trying to put out right now. Very important. But we have to wait and watch first to see what further details emerge regarding those explosions that have taken place in Tehran. Those images have been very telling as well. At the same time, we have to see what the U.S. has to say at any point here onwards regarding what's happening on the ground in the region. Also, any reactions that are coming in from the region right now will be very crucial to point out, because this is also a point which could mean that the escalating tensions could shoot up, spiral out of control further, or it could mean that things ease. We have to, of course, wait and watch what the local news reports also will be putting out in Iran. But at the same time, look at the way the messaging has unfolded on part of the U.S. before these reports came in as well. Earlier in the evening regarding the Strait of Hormuz crisis, Trump essentially issuing that message of how the U.S. is trying to double down on the Strait of Hormuz, which of course has been a huge pain point, not just for the region, but for the entire world, given the kind of impact on the energy supply. So Trump earlier in the evening, remember, had said that he is ordering the U.S. minesweepers to continue clearing the strait at a tripled up level, saying that he has ordered the U.S. Navy to shoot and kill any boats laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, also going on to say that no ship can enter or leave without the approval of the United States Navy. It is sealed up tight. That's the message that Trump tried to put out. In fact, that's also categorically important to point out, because Iran has also been claiming that it has control over the Strait of Hormuz. So clearly right now, when we look at the statements, the kind of narrative that the two sides are putting out, not just regarding the Strait of Hormuz, but overall regarding where they stand as far as the tensions are concerned, at a very sensitive point at the same time, when the ceasefire has been extremely precarious. Plus what's happening now in Tehran with those reports of explosions being heard. We have to wait and watch to see what exactly comes out regarding the cause of those explosions.
Indeed, Molly, do continue to stay on with us. In the meanwhile, let's in fact try get some more breaking news. Information that is very interesting that's coming out is from the Israelis, where one of the IDF officials is now said to have said that we are not attacking Iran right now. This is what a IDF official has just said. We are not attacking Iran right now. The reason why a lot of fingers were being pointed towards Israel is because of what Israel Katz, the defense minister, had said earlier in the evening, where he had said that Israel will be driven by its own security interests. This at a time when the American president had been talking about the negotiations going forward, and as to how he wants to see the ceasefire extended so that the next round of negotiations can happen. The Israelis are now saying that these attacks, if they've happened, were not carried out by the Israelis. An interesting dynamic now emerging here, So the Iranians say that there was an attack. The air defenses engaged this hostile targets over the skies of Tehran. The Israelis say that they had nothing to do with it. Now we need to hear from the Americans as to what really is transpiring, because the way things are unfolding here, this does look like possibly an inflection point, because once this kind of an attack is carried out, you cannot talk of a ceasefire again proceeding from here on unless we say that, listen, things have changed on the ground. So we need to wait and watch as to what the Americans now have to say, because over the course of the last couple of weeks, even though Trump had been talking about negotiations trying to draw down the war, he had been sending at least 10,000 more troops to the Persian Gulf. And this is crucial, because every time Trump has mobilized forces, he's in fact ended up using them. Is this another escalation, the beginning of another escalation that we are witnessing? Is something that will become clear in the next few hours from here on. But what is clear at this point of time, Molly, is the fact that the Israelis are saying that they had nothing to do with this. We have to wait and watch for what the Americans have to say. Let's in fact now try get some breaking news that's also coming in. Professor Kuznick, do stay on with us. Let me in fact bring in my colleague Molly Gambhir, who is also with us. Molly, at this moment, it's pretty difficult to see as to what in fact is unfolding over the skies of Tehran. The fact that the US's George Bush has also been announced to have moved into the Indian Ocean region, and the fact that there were explosions that were heard over the Iranian skies and the air defense systems were engaged. Is this a point of inflection from talking of negotiations and peace and drawing down this war? Is this the beginning of another escalation? What are you picking up at your end?
Indeed, just piecing together what's unfolded, Saleh, over the last couple of hours itself, since we've been getting in those reports. Now, just a short while back, what's been reported by the Iranian news, in fact, the local media, they're reporting that explosions were heard over Tehran and that the air defense systems were activated. That news that came in just a while ago. And then we've seen that statement coming in from Donald Trump. Like we were saying, what comes out of the United States will be very important to watch out given the situation unfolding in Iran. So now Donald Trump has now put out that statement, categorically saying that essentially a deal will happen only as per America's interest. Now, whether or not the kind of pressure that the U.S. is trying to exert on Iran, will it work or not, is the fundamental question here. Because remember, the Strait of Hormuz crisis, for example, or the economic pressure that Donald Trump is trying to exert on Iran through that blockade, of a blockade in a way, that also throws up a number of questions and challenges, because will that strategy work? And the Strait of Hormuz crisis, remember, is just a fallout of the U.S.-Israel war against Iran, because that was never really in the picture. It was a natural fallout, of course, because we had seen statements coming in from the Iranian side that, that indicated that that will be a natural reaction from Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz. So the war objectives essentially started out as being, like you also discussed, the regime change, the nuclear program of Iran, which remains at the center stage of the negotiations that were held earlier, the sticking points that have remained, be it the kind of war objectives that Donald Trump has been touting from earlier on when the war started on the 28th of February. Look at the way the statements really have unfolded, the back and forth regarding all of these war objectives. And coming to where things stand right now, the second round of talks has not happened. The precarious situation between the two sides continues, and the world is watching these developments very closely, because what unfolds in West Asia right now, given the crucial juncture, given the Hormuz crisis that continues to be a pain point for the entire world in terms of the impact that's already been seen on the supply chains, the economic impact, the energy market supply as well that's been impacted already, right, and the recovery time that it will take from here onwards.
And a war where we were talking of a ceasefire and a possible off-ramp and a de-escalation, we still do not know. Is this another spark that can trigger another more ferocious round of fighting? Is something not clear at this point of time. And Susan, at this moment, it's still very early with respect to what has been reported. But have we heard any reaction per se from the Pentagon on what it is doing in the midst of what is being called a fragile ceasefire?
We haven't heard from the Pentagon, but just moments ago we did hear from Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz in a video that he said Israel is prepared to renew the war against Iran. The IDF is prepared for both defense and offense, and the targets are marked. This is Israel Defense Minister making these comments just a short while back. He's saying we're waiting for the green light from U.S. to complete elimination of the Khamenei dynasty. So very interesting coming from Israel at this point. Interesting time.
You know, the fact that Israel Katz said what he said clearly indicates that although the Americans and the Israelis are such close friends and the Israelis predominantly fight using American weapons, the American President Donald Trump seems to have not enough leverage in trying to control his close ally Israel at a time when he's clearly trying to talk peace. You know, tell us a bit about this interesting dynamic between the United States and Israel and to what extent Donald Trump can actually lean in on the Israeli defense establishment to try and ensure that they don't end up violating the ceasefire that is there in place.
Yeah, that's been a challenge for Donald Trump. We've seen in numerous posts on Truth Social. At one point, he wrote, "Enough is enough. The attack has to stop on the part of Israel against Lebanon," you know, trying to broker this kind of ceasefire. But on the other hand, we've also heard Benjamin Netanyahu, while praising President Trump and while being really strong allies, notably against the war in Iran, it was really something that they were doing together in coordination. Israel says that ultimately it will decide how it wants